Team still seemingly undecided on their quarterback decision. Yesterday, Cam put up a short video on Instagram saying, quote, "All I want is a little commitment." Something he hasn't really gotten from the Panthers in the last year, but the Panthers took notice this time. New head coach Matt Rule saying, quote, "I absolutely want Cam here." That amid a report that Carolina will keep Cam as their starter. All right, Greg, there's a lot going on here. I still feel like we're going back and forth on whether this team really wants to put all their eggs in the Cam Newton basket. What was your reaction to all this?
Number one, I respect Cam a lot for putting that out there and saying all I want is a little commitment. He deserved a little commitment.
And he's talking to the team.
And he's talking to the team. And when you've done what he's done for that franchise, you deserve a little commitment. I'm not saying you deserve for them to say, yes, you're going to be here, or no, you're not. But you deserve for new regime to come out and say, we at least want you here. And so for them to come out and say that, it now gives him this idea and belief that, okay, now I can start moving forward and feeling comfortable that the offseason is approaching. You do kind of want me here. I just have to continue to be on the path of creating and stacking success and fit into what you're trying to do. Cam Newton is a great talent. He has been in one of the worst positions as a player, specifically at the quarterback position, who has had a revolving door around him at offensive coordinator, as players around him, skill guys. He's never had...
They haven't been able to find the wide receivers.
His entire career, he's only had Greg Olsen.
Right. Steve Smith early on, and then Greg
That's
Olsen.
it. And absolutely. Steve Smith when he first got there. But after that, it's been a revolving door. And so he deserves the opportunity to build with this team and to see if he fits in what they're trying to do in the future.
And they don't have a better option. They've never had a better option. This is the smartest thing the Panthers have done in quite some time if they do go through with it. And this idea, again, I feel like sometimes I live in a crazy world where nobody can remember anything that didn't happen in the last 18 months. Cam Newton, prior to the TJ Watt hit, had missed 3 games in his career. His whole career. Going into this season, he'd only missed 5. Then he missed basically the entirety of this season. This year was a lost season. Leading into the TJ Watt hit, with the new throwing motion and the new offense, Cam Newton had a 101 rating, 19 touchdowns, 4 interceptions to go along with 45 rushing yards per game and 230 passing yards per game and 67% completions, and his team was 6-2. That wasn't the MVP season. That was 2018. That was Patrick Mahomes' MVP year, is the year that Cam was 6-2. And so, of course, this is their better option. What's up?
So why didn't the Carolina Panthers say, you're our guy, let's sign you up for a couple more years, here's a new contract? Like, why aren't they, if they know that, 101 passer rating, those 8 games were great games, why not say, you're our guy? Why are they?
I feel like that's what they were just doing.
But for the last year, they haven't been. They've been sort of floating it out there that they're not sure what they're going to do.
He's had a broken foot. And now I'm not advocating you give him a contract extension. I'm advocating
just let him play the year.
You got Cam Newton
last year of his contract.
for 1 year, $19 million to see if he can get back to that level. If he does, he's the best non-rookie quarterback bargain in the NFL. And by the way, Matt Rule, what he has done at every stop offensively at the collegiate level and also with an NFL background, I'm excited to see Cam in that. And Greg, just quickly, I'm curious your thoughts on this. All of a sudden, the NFC South feels like one of the more wide-open divisions in football. Tampa don't know who their quarterback is. Atlanta inexplicably brought Dan Quinn back. Let's run that thing back, see what happens. And New Orleans doesn't have a quarterback under contract yet, even though they seemingly have 3 competent ones or 2 competent ones and Taysom, whatever Taysom's going to be. So to me, that division's super winnable if you get the Cam Newton that you had before TJ Watt wrecked his shoulder and before he got his foot broken.
Yeah, when you look at a team like this and you get a new head coach, ownership has changed, the one thing that you want to have is a leader in that locker room, a guy who's been there, who's won, who's literally trying to do the things that you want at the quarterback position. And as you mentioned, Cam is their best option. There is no one, like, you can talk about Teddy Bridgewater, you can talk about Tom Brady, you can talk about all these guys that are free agents right now. I would not, if I'm the Carolina Panthers and I have Cam, I'm not taking one of those guys.
And all
over
those
Cam
guys
Newton.
will cost more
Yes.
than $19 million next season. That Cam Newton, who's already in your building and wants to be there.
Whoever picks me, I'm going to go show up. I'll play whoever for whoever drafts me. You know, I'm just not going to be presumptuous about, you know, what they want to do. It's the draft. You guys have been covering it for a long time. You never know what's going to happen. You know, the only thing that I've said is I just didn't want to be presumptuous about the pick, and so that's why I've been non-committal, because I don't know what's going to happen. You know, they might not pick me, they might fall in love with someone else. So you know, you guys kind of took that narrative and ran with it, but there's never been anything like that from my end.
I feel like we all know he's going number one, and I feel like we all know it's going to go to Cincy, but he doesn't want to be presumptuous. Greg, what did you make of Joe Burrow's comments?
I have no problem with it. I actually like the fact that he came out and said, I'm a ball player. I'll play for any team that drafts me. Look, when you're in his position and you are assumed to be the #1 overall pick, you're not a Manning. You don't have your father, Archie Manning, who's played in the NFL. You don't have your brother who's currently in the NFL dominating. Like, you're trying to make a name for yourself. You go where you're picked, you're drafted, and then you don't add any additional pressure by saying, you know what, I'm not playing here. If Joe Burrow were to say he's not playing for the Bengals, Joe Burrow is then adding so much more pressure on himself to go out and be one of the best quarterbacks that this game has seen, period. When you make a stance like that, I don't think that's what he wants. Does he want to be one of the greatest? Yes. But just go out there and play and be who you've always been. A different.
And Greg, for maybe slightly different reasons, I totally agree with you in this regard. I think Joey has handled this exactly right. And he wouldn't be my pick at #1, Tua would be, but he's going to be the pick at #1. And he clearly and understandably would love it if someone would trade with Cincinnati for that pick. You know why? Because if we are power ranking franchises as far as how well they're run, how well they're funded, how well their facilities are, their history of winning, all these things, Cincinnati is either at the very bottom or right near it. So, of course, he has put just enough out there into the ether that maybe if Cincinnati does have second thoughts, or maybe if Cincinnati does, someone in that building say, you know what, I think Tua maybe is better. And I think if we trade from 1 to 3, we can get the better quarterback and extra picks. He is incentivizing them to do so, which is aligned with his interests. But he is, go ahead, Jenna.
Is that okay? Is it okay to put just enough out there that maybe if Cincy wants to change their mind, they don't have to worry whether he'll be upset about it because they already know he might not want to go there?
Why would it not be okay?
Because wouldn't it be great if he was like, pulling a Tua? I'll play anywhere for anyone with as much gusto as I possibly can. I can't wait. Not putting just enough out there.
I don't know.
So that if
I prefer to work at better places than worse places. And if you have, he's like, why would he not prefer to go to a better run franchise?
Yeah, well, it's not his choice.
If it were anyone's choice, they would prefer what you're saying, Nick, like to be in a better situation. It's not his choice. And with Tua, he understands like his level, his talent level, and his belief in what he provides. He truly believes I'll go anywhere and I'll change the landscape.
Tua has a giant asterisk attached to him.
Yes.
I don't know what Tua's mentality would be if he didn't have this massive injury that totally changed, I think, how he looks at football, how he looks at life, how he looks at his football mortality, all these things. But how on earth can it be criticized what he's doing? I don't understand it. He has said, I will go play for you, but I believe, now he's saying that's not what he was doing. He was saying, when I said I have leverage, I was talking about the combine, whatever it is. He has put just enough out there to where if the Bengals were having second thoughts, then everybody wins. The Bengals get to, nobody's forcing their hand. Nobody is saying you can't draft him. He said there in black and white, I'll play for whoever takes me. But I think he's put enough out into the ethos that if the Bengals were having second thoughts, now they'll have third thoughts, and maybe he gets to go to a better team. Now, maybe that comes back and bites him. Maybe Zach Taylor turns into the next brilliant coach. Or maybe Zach Taylor turns into the next fired Cincinnati Bengals coach, and Joe Burrow by year 2 is on head coach 2. So you can't make the argument to me. We had Carson Palmer, who played for this team, say, man,